Okay, well this is the last part of the course for measurement, and this is to do with bearings. So what exactly are bearings? Bearings are used to show the direction from one location to another. For example, if a person was using a map, orienteering, or they were navigating using a GPS in a car. So a bearing has a starting point and a direction. So what we're going to do is to have a look at two different types of drawings for bearings, or writing them down. One is called a true bearing, and this comes from north. It's also known as a three-figure bearing. So all of the bearings to do with true bearings have a T on the end of them and a number of degrees that the bearing is going through. So 305 degrees true bearing, which direction would that be? Well, for each one of the quadrants, these are 90 degrees. Now, as mentioned before, we start off at true north, and that's where the beginning of your measurement starts from, and you head round towards the east, southwest, and then back to the north again. So 305 degrees is made up of 90 degrees plus another 90 degrees, which is 180, plus another 90 degrees, which is 270, plus a little bit more, which is equal to 35 degrees. So here's my line going up here, and it goes completely around to my bearing. Alright, so I've got 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, and I've got 35 degrees. So a true bearing is made up of each one of the 90 degrees parts plus the bearing which makes it up to the 305. So for this particular bearing, we start at the north, we sweep around past east, past south, through to west, and then go on another 35 degrees to show my true bearing. The next one's a bearing of 160 degrees. So this is 160T. So there's my true bearing, starting at north, and I go through 160 degrees. So start the same process. I go due north, and I sweep through 180 degrees heading towards east. So I go through, first of all, through 90 degrees, and then I go through on for another 70 degrees. So my angle here is my bearing, and this will be 70 degrees in there. So to get my bearing, I've got my 90 degrees, which is my north to east, plus I've got another 70 degrees, which makes up my 160 degrees to give me my true bearing. The second type of bearings are called reduced bearings. Now, reduced bearings are north and south, first of all, and then east and west. So for reduced bearings, there's always a direction we go first, which is the north direction here. Then there's a number of degrees we go towards the west. So it's a little bit like a statement. Head in the northerly direction, so head north, but then swing towards the west 55 degrees. So I swing towards the west, around, and I end up with my bearing there of 55 degrees. So to make this bearing, it's north, then I swing 55 degrees towards the west. For my second example, here I've got south 20 degrees east, so I head in a southerly direction, then I swing 20 degrees towards the east. So I head in a southerly direction, so here's my southerly direction. I swing towards the east, so I'm going towards the east, but I only go 20 degrees. So there's my bearing. South, then 20 degrees towards the east, and I draw a line with an arrow on it to show that's my bearing of where I'm actually going to head. So let's try some examples. Right, 105 degrees true. Well, 105 degrees T, that's made up of 90 degrees plus another 15 degrees. So I have to start from the north. I head towards the east because this is a true bearing, and I go down 90 degrees, and then I go another 15 degrees. So there's my bearing. Here's my 15 degrees. To complete it. Right, the next one, example number 2, is 315 degrees. Now 315 degrees is made up of 90 degrees plus another 90 degrees, that makes 180 degrees, plus another 90 degrees, which makes up 270 degrees, plus another 45 degrees. So I have to start from my true north, and I sweep through 90 degrees, 180 degrees, 270 degrees, and I swing right round so that I have an angle which is 45 degrees to be my bearing. For example number 3, I've got 240 degrees. So 240 degrees, let's say that's 90 degrees plus another 90 degrees, that makes up 180 degrees. And then I have to add another 60 plus 60 degrees, and that makes up my 240. So once again, start off my true north, swing 90 degrees, another 90 degrees makes 180 degrees, plus another 60 degrees, and I finish off my bearing there, and I write 60 degrees in as my bearing. Example number 4 is looking at a reduced bearing. So what do? I read it like from left to right. I've got northerly 40 degrees towards the east. So I go northerly direction 40 degrees towards the east, and there's my bearing. So 40 degrees in there. South 50 degrees west, well, head towards the south, then swing 50 degrees towards the west. So I'm going to go south, so southerly direction. I go 50 degrees towards the west. There's my 50 degrees. And that's my bearing. And my last example is north 20 degrees west. So I'm going to go in the northerly direction, 20 degrees towards the west. So northerly direction, 20 degrees, which is just a little bit towards the west. And there's my 20 degrees there. Alright, so there's a few problems I'd like you to try practice. There's page 56, there's questions from 33 and 34, and then there's 3 I'd like you to try, 35, 36, 37. These are word type problems using bearings. Try and draw a diagram, and you decide if you're going to use sine, cos and tan to solve the problems. Thank you for listening. Bye.